Good morning, everybody. Mike Porter here from Positive Edge on-demand spin classes and also Positive Edge run coaching. I wanted to take a few minutes here to discuss what you should and should not be doing on the bike to ensure that you get the best out of every ride, you get the most out of every ride, and you keep yourself injury-free both short and long term. And I can almost guarantee you that if you do follow these directions, you will be spinning long into your elder years, feeling good and feeling strong and enjoying every aspect of it. I'm going to assume that a lot of you are already doing a lot of these things I'm going to explain, and that's great. But follow these directions and your spinning life will be good. So first of all, make sure you're warming up, okay? A lot of people, regardless of their activity, maybe it's a time constraint or whatever, they skip their warm-up. So they get right on that bike and they get right into the actual activity itself. So whether you're doing a class or doing a ride on your own, make sure and gradually bring that heart rate up, gradually bring your energy up, and that'll warm up those muscles and get you ready for the workout itself and play a big role in keeping you injury-free, okay? On that same note, make sure you're cooling down. I've seen a lot in some of my live spin classes. I don't see it on demand because I can't see what you're doing. But sometimes people get through the last song and immediately they'll get off their bike and go and take on their day. That's a big, big mistake, okay? You have to gradually bring that heart rate down, gradually bring your energy down, just like you gradually brought it up during warm-up. And then you take on your day. And again, what that will do is it'll help speed up recovery. It'll slow down, that nervous system, everything else. So super, super important. Make sure you're doing that, okay? So warming up and cooling down. If you're already doing it, great. Stretching. Never do any static stretches before you get on the bike, okay? You want to make sure that you're stretching after the fact. So once you're cooled down, then you want to stretch after the fact. Whenever you're stretching, if you can hold those stretches for 30 or 40 seconds or even longer, gradually going until you feel a stretch with whatever you're stretching, and then breathing into it, enjoying that process. And when that stretch goes away, then you can go a little bit further, okay? So warming up, cooling down, and stretching, that will really send you in the right direction as far as staying injury-free. Next thing I want to talk about is tension on your bike, okay? And I see this in a lot of classes. You always, once you're out of your warm-up, okay, you always want to have enough tension on your bike that you're always pushing something, okay? And what I mean by that is that you're doing the work. The flywheel or the bike is not doing the work. Momentum is not doing the work. And how you can feel that is if you're bouncing on the saddle, usually you have to add tension. That's the first easiest thing that will tell you that you need to add a little bit more tension. And also, like I said, if it feels like it's momentum taking those legs, then you need to add tension, okay? I see a lot of things on YouTube and things online and on Instagram where people's legs are going 100 miles an hour. You know they don't have tension on their bike, and what that's doing, it's not doing you any good as far as your strength or your cardio goes, and also it's putting extreme amount of stress on those knees, stress on those hips, okay? And that's going to result in injury over time, okay? So like I said, you might think it looks good when you're going 100 miles an hour, but you're accomplishing nothing. So you need to make sure that you always have various degrees of tension on the bike, whether you're doing a tempo or a sprint or a hill. You always have to have push out, push back during that workout, okay? Next thing I want to talk about, and I know a lot of you have seen this, a lot of you have probably done it in some classes and think you're getting some type of a core workout or you think that it's helping some part of you, and it's not, is what they call tap backs, push backs, whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to do them slow here. Basically what you're doing is you're taking your butt and you're going back and coming forward, okay? So, and when you're doing that, especially when you're clipped in, okay, what's happening is you have to come back and you have to stop and then pull back again. So if you were looking at me from the side, your ass is going back, you're stopping, and then you're jerking forward again. So what happens there is, and I've seen it, I've talked to chiropractors, I've talked to physios, people end up with lower back pain inevitably over time, okay? Plus, it does you absolutely no good, okay? It does you no good. You're on that bike to work out. I understand you want to have fun, but if you're putting yourself at risk of injury, that's no good, okay? Next thing what I want to talk about, maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't, and This one is common in a lot of classes because people say, oh, my quads are burning, my legs are burning, this must be good. And what I often say to people is, you could run headfirst into a cement wall and it's going to hurt and it's not going to be comfortable. That doesn't mean it's good for you, okay? So what this is, you can call it whatever you want. Some people call it isolations or whatever. And I'm not going to do it for long because it's not good. But it's when you're coming out of your saddle and then you're really going really, really slow, okay? And you've got not a lot of tension, okay? If you don't have a lot of tension, what's happening, your quads start to burn, but the reason your quads are burning is because there's an immense amount of pressure on your hip joints and on your knee joints. So your quads aren't actually burning because they're working. They're burning because you've got this added tension on your knees. And again, it's doing you no good, okay? So stay away from those isolations. Side to side movement, another one. I see it on Instagram, I see it on Facebook, I see it all the time. And it comes in various forms. People are out of the saddle and they're doing this kind of stuff back and forth and this way and that way. Again, complete waste of time and so bad for your lower back, so bad for your hips, so bad for your knees, okay? It will injure you, so don't do that. You want to be stable through your core, but you want to be not so stable that you can't breathe properly. So when you're out of the saddle, sort of the rule of thumb is to keep your body between the handlebars, okay? You start doing this, not only are you wasting your time, but you're putting yourself at risk, okay? So that's one that I'm seeing more and more, and the moves that I'm seeing are getting more and more crazy and serving no purpose, okay? So that's another one. So you want to keep your body nice and stable. Again, keep it between those handlebars at the very least, okay? That's another one. I want to talk quickly about weight balance when you're out of the saddle, okay? This is one that's really hard for especially new riders to pick up, okay? So when you're out of the saddle, okay, and your hands are in the front of your bars, you're climbing, because that's the only time that you should be out of the saddle, really, okay? So you want to have that weight sort of between the middle of your bike and the front of your bike, but more so like around just over top of your pedals, okay? So there should be very little lean on those handlebars. 80% of that lean should be over the pedals, very little lean on the bars, okay? When you're out here, if you feel like, sometimes you'll see people get out and they're going fast and they're like, almost like those handlebars are holding them up. You need to come up, you need to add tension, and you need to bring that weight over the middle of the bike. Now let's talk about tension as well, okay? When you're out of the saddle, I had somebody ask me before that they were told to go at super high cadence out of that saddle with low tension. Absolutely not, okay? You need to have tension, and you'll know if you have enough tension, at the least, if you find that you are actually leaning on those bars, okay? If you're out of that saddle and you're going super fast and you've got no tension, again, it's not doing you any good, and you're putting yourself at risk. So you should feel stronger than you ever feel and more powerful when you're out of the saddle. And if that weight balance is right, if you have enough tension, that's going to feel fantastic. You're going to know you're working and you're going to feel strong, okay? Next thing what I'll talk about, again, this is a common one. I've beat my head against the wall on this one. Anybody that asks me, I had people come into my classes in Vancouver doing it arbitrarily. You see it all the time, and it's silly, okay? And it's something when I'm training instructors or when I'm training a group, I'll talk about, and I'll have them do it, okay? And, there's different forms of this, doing like this, pulses or full down push-ups, and then you see all kinds of other stuff where they're going side to side, this stuff or whatever. But let's just talk about this, okay? If you're doing this on the bike, all it's doing is taking energy, taking focus, and away from the actual cardio aspect of things itself, okay? Now, again, when I'm training people, and some of you that are watching this may have seen this, okay? I'll start the training and I'll say, okay, everybody, I want you all to get on the bike and I want you to do this, okay? So I'll have them do it, And I'll let them do it for a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And I'll say, how long do you think you could do that? And I had one person say I could probably do it forever. And I say exactly, because it's absolutely serves no purpose to give you a stronger upper body. It doesn't work your core. It doesn't work your arms, okay? All it does is take away from the cardio. So if you want to do it, and if you want to see the difference in that, try doing that and then get on the ground. Do 20 or 30 or 40 of these, and then get on the ground and do 40 push-ups and see the difference. Then you'll feel what a proper push-up should feel like, and you'll understand why that's a waste of time. So hopefully this helps you a little bit. Hopefully you learned a little bit here. Again, reach out to me with anything, mike@positiveedge.ca. More than happy to help any way I can. Reach out and have a great day and take good care. Thank you.